Guys, as requested, we got the rematch with the S23 versus the S25 Ultra. Let's go ahead and boot these guys up. And yeah, we got the One UI 7 on the S23. We already did the video on it, maybe a month ago or a few weeks ago. But yeah, so I'm happy to do this. Happy to do this rematch for you guys. S25 already in there, S23 right behind it. And let's go ahead and just dive in here. Alright, so let's exit out of all apps. We're all clear. And let's go ahead and get started. We're going to be doing some, basically looking at the animations, RAM management. We'll export a video. But the main gist here is it as smooth consistently as the S25 Ultra? We saw that the S22 Ultra, even though it was smoother, it could not really keep up in terms of smoothness consistency with the S25 Ultra. So you can see like the age a little bit here. But what's cool about the S23 series is that all of the S23s got the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. So you guys will have the same experience. Unlike the S22, there's a, what wasn't Exynos, right? So this is awesome. So let's go ahead and dive in and see what we get here. Okay, Subway Surf. Faster on the S25 again. And also, like I said, guys, the S23 Ultra, I have a ton of videos on it. Still easily one of the best phones you can buy. So the back animation feels extremely similar. Very hard to tell the difference here. That was one of the things the S22 Ultra was kind of struggling with, keeping animation consistency coming out of games for some reason. Normal apps, it was perfectly fine. Google Earth, a little bit faster on the S25. Again, feels exactly the same. Okay, looked like the S23 got it there. So far, extremely similar. Can't really see a significant difference here. Can't really feel a significant difference, which is very good. Temper run. So you guys can see S25 just a little bit quicker, but nothing too crazy. Okay, we'll play that. The S23's RAM management was pretty good last time, so I think it should do the same. Okay, just click on something. All right, let's scroll. Very smooth scrolling, no lag. Yeah, so this feels more on par than the S22 so far. 8 ball. It's just the S25 looks like it's just a hair faster. But I'm really liking these animations. We will come back to the camera because I want to check video zooming. Jetpack. Yeah, guys, this is really nice so far. Okay. So it feels very similar, besides, the fact that the S25 is like 0.5 seconds faster or a second faster. It's not really a big deal, something you wouldn't really notice in real life. All right, Geekbench. So far, I think with these new animations, it just feels extremely similar because it was already very similar with the 6.1 update. But now that we got this update and just putting them side by side, I mean, there's no reason to upgrade for speed at all. Even if you're more of a power user, I still wouldn't upgrade because you're not really gaining much here, even though the S25 does have a significant power increase when it comes to specs. But the thing is, most people won't be able to get the benefit of how powerful the S25 Ultra is. Really, I would probably say probably one single benefit is probably the 7 years of major OS updates that you get with the S25, or something like an S24. That's the only benefit that those phones have over the S23, because besides that, they're extremely similar, as you guys can see when it comes to performance. And it's looking like animation consistency is here, so it feels exactly like a S25 Ultra, so which is really nice. So CapCut, so we're probably like a second off, or stuff like that. So there's not a major gap when it comes to general performance here. And our 3D Mark scores, if you guys haven't seen them, this is basically the score. So that's why I said, you get 36 frames to almost 19, and you get double the performance in 3D Mark. But like I said, trying to get that power out, because this can play Genshin really well, PUBG. I'll show you guys. Everything's gonna feel really similar. So let's go ahead and just look at our, we forgot TikTok here, and then we'll check out our RAM management here. Looks like we got some type of update. But let's go ahead and come out and see if it can stay consistent here. So far, so good. And all of our apps have not closed, which is good. Okay, that one right there, it's not as smooth that first time, and then it kind of corrects itself. Okay, very smooth. So far it's looking like performance is really solid here, very similar. Okay. Looks like we got a closeout. We got one closeout, Amazon. Temple Run, okay, did close out those applications at the beginning. So it looks like not quite the same performance, but this is the base model S23. So if you do have a 12 gigabyte of RAM version, it'll keep those apps open. On the 8 gig, you can see that it did a decent job, but it did kick out the earlier apps. Alright guys, when it comes to PUBG, like I was saying earlier, yes, you do get double the performance in 3D Mark, but the performance that the average person is going to experience is going to be pretty much the same. You really won't run into too many problems with this Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor. No overheating problems. Yes, the S25 will be, better for gaming if you're like a hardcore extreme gamer, but even competitive gamers can still play on the S23 perfectly fine. It's not, I haven't run into any issues with this phone. What you will notice is that what I like about the S25 is it is a little bit cooler, so during longer periods of gaming. And it's not to say that the S23 gets hot or anything, or heats up and starts lagging, but that is one thing that I noticed. But yeah guys, performance when it comes to gaming, it's really good on the S23 Ultra, and it is really good on the S25 Ultra here. And let me come back in here, because sometimes, yeah, so the animation consistency is a little bit kind of weird coming out of games. So I had that happen twice on the S23. It wasn't nowhere near as bad as on the S22 Ultra. S22 Ultra was way more inconsistent. But I wonder with that 12 gigs of RAM, if it'll help with that kind of coming in and out of applications with RAM management. But besides that, it's extremely similar in performance here. And let's see if the swipe down animations, this feels the same, which is really nice. Scrolling the home page feels the same as well too. Yeah, they both kind of have that thing where you come over here, it's a little bit of stutter, then it cleans itself up. But once you get over here, it's pretty smooth. So like I said, they both feel very similar. Check multitasking tray here. This feels very similar as well. Yeah, feels pretty much on point. Let's go ahead and drop that right there. See if everything feels the same. Oh, I like how they do this. I didn't notice that they changed how this works or how it looks. Let's see. We'll do Amazon. Yeah, very smooth. Yeah, so I think the animations feel very similar, guys. Here's one thing that is very smooth that you may or may not notice here, but we're in 4K 60. The zooming has gotten a lot better. Okay, and then we're gonna play it. The S23 here. We're in, I think that was 1080 60. Okay. Let's see if it looks similar. Yeah, you can already tell it's not as smooth. Yeah, you can immediately tell those transitions. So that's one thing that the S25 Ultra has. That extra power, it really helps the smoothness when you're transitioning for videos. So let's see how that comes out. Okay. Yeah, the S23 is not bad. Yeah, but switching between those lenses is you could definitely tell the difference on the S25. All right, we have a 1 minute 4K 60 video. I don't expect to see any different results here than what we saw last time, but I'll just run it anyway. What you will come to find is that the S23 is pretty similar in terms of export timing. The S25 Ultra is going to be faster, as you guys can see. But I think the S23 Ultra, it does a pretty good job. So even if this was a longer video, it wouldn't be too much of a, too much of a gap. So you can see it's already done. But if this was a, you're editing a 10-minute, 20-minute video, yeah, you would feel the difference a little bit. But overall, the S23, it exports stuff in a fairly fast amount of time. So that is pretty much it, guys. Again, the S23 Ultra animation consistency is very good. We only had like maybe 2 hiccups. And honestly, if you have that 12 GB RAM version, it'll keep those applications open. So overall, I think, no real reason to upgrade. I think this update is even more of a reason now to keep your S23 Ultra to the end of its lifespan because you see how well it's running still. So let me know what you guys think.